Welcome to the Archotechs, a RimWorld fluid ideology series about pursuing the Archonexus. Episode 77, All Good Things. To briefly recap last episode, we had to unfortunately redo what episode 75 was, but we didn't actually redo it perfectly. So Jeff mentioned that Trustin here did not actually end up using his aids. Let's call those in. I get them free. Might as well grab them. Another thing is I haven't queued up the clothing that I was going to help replace some of the worn out clothing that we have. Specifically Zeleb's shirt that is missing. This is because, of course, this time around I did not get Thrumbo fur, but perhaps we can make it out of something nice like... oh, I don't know, we'll hunt for a leather. Hunt some Mega Sloth, perhaps. Or a warg. Let's cue the warg up to be hunted. The wealth that we have here is 315,000. And of course we need 350. And then the architect structure is nearly done. We don't have too much work there. And then once that's done, Sven will go back to doing research. We didn't end up finishing the Recon Armor, because I wanted to maximize the amount of the structure to analyze while I have this plus 15 all relics collected boon to help offset the minus 29 that we have being near the structure. And warg down. Trustin has been trying to make pianos for us in order to boost our wealth. So one thing I'm going to want to do is to set up a button-down shirt, make that out of wolfskin, and that will be the replacement for Zeleb. And likely we're going to have to replace a bunch of other stuff as well. Clothing that has worn out over time. The moisture pumps have been expanding, and as a result I'll be able to add in more pathing, where pathing previously didn't exist. I do fully realize how relatively pointless this is, considering that we are heading to the finish line all so very quickly. But I figure, why not just at least take a little bit of advantage of the investment we've made by moisture pumping and the like. Now we had added the autocannon turrets at great cost of components and steel. We have a lot of steel left. One of the things that I wanted to do is to think about doing uranium slugs. The problem is I don't really have a lot of uranium. So if I added a uranium slug turret, it would mostly be a token turret just for fun. But I suppose I could do that anyway. A not so terrible spot for a slug turret would be somewhere around here in the newly drained out section of the swamp. Because this turret can't be easily contested, as this is all very slow movement speed. And we can just fire from here if we need down. And the slug turrets have incredible range. That's one of their real strong points, is compared to an autocannon turret. Let me see if I can't show you overlaid. Slug turrets are a good range, longer. They do have a larger dead spot, but they're also very inaccurate against targets that are close to it. So once I build one, you'll see its stats, but they're obviously best used as long-range artillery-styled turret. All right, so taking a look at its stats, its range is 46. Why this is important? Well, here, I'll show you. A sniper rifles is 45. So even if you have enemies that have sniper rifles, which is the longest possible range weapon in the game, tied with a whole bunch of other things, but the longest possible range weapon in the game that is portable, I should say, the slug turret will outfire it. So if I did have a whole bunch of snipers come in to attack, and there are a raid type where they just show up with a whole bunch of snipers, we would have no problem whatsoever firing further than they could. A slave ship. Let me take a look. Dorna. Slow learner. Does things I don't need. Hurdle. Lazy. And Dragonfly. Not terrible. Dragonfly could be good as a plant cutter. They're 62 years old, though. And no, never mind. They have a lot wrong with them. Well, I guess not. I could part with some of the packs of survival units, though, to turn into silver. I think it would actually lower my total colony value, but it's making money. It's selling things that we want to sell. Actually, I am going to sell the legendary shield belt because I was holding on to that for that reason, and then sell the pianos. Maybe not the masterwork one. And that is almost, here we go, almost the correct value. One of the reasons I like small stack items where you can sell a whole lot of them is you can sort of maximize your trades a lot better without having to compromise in some way. So Trustin is going to be making components a while. Once Sven is up, I might even work drive him. Just to try to catch up. And I replaced these walls that were once wood with stone, because otherwise rats like this one could get access to the simple meals, which is not something that we want. All right, does look like my food amount is low. So I'm going to move this cotton plant over to rice again. Make sure that we're farming enough of our own nutrients. So looking down here, we are just about done. I do think it might be wise to use something like a leader speech instead of a work drive, because Bunny and Sven's moods are not as high as I normally would like them to be. Let's see. Still 315. Nice. The trading that we did didn't penalize us that much. Alright, so this here is the shirt for Zleb. It's not great, but it's better than what Zleb was wearing. And then let's go ahead and hunt the Mega Sloth next. There's also a lot of elk that came in, and that's not too far away for us. And there it is, the Grand Architect structure studied. Just a little reminder that in order to do the Archonexus, we need an alliance with the Brio people, the structure studied, and 350,000. So that is all coming together now. Oh, ground pen scanner. Let's have you do the recon research instead. The locust armor that we're wearing is wearing out. I don't think it's wearing out soon enough to be a problem for us. Like, it's not going to decay enough that we're going to have tattered armor unless we get shot a lot. But it might be nice just to have the research done anyway. No, I had paused the pack of survival meals, and I'm not going to pick them back up until we're starting to get a bit of a rice harvest. I'm a little worried about running out of lavish meals. Fortunately, Sven, Bunny, and Trustin all have nuclear stomachs, so they don't eat very often, which is the saving grace. And their moods bounced right back. So I'm going to drive Trustin. Then as soon as I can do production command, we'll have them feed off of one another as well. Oh, I can expand this again. Moisture pumps take a good long time to be able to expand, which is why I always feel that it's so rewarding when they do. When you're finally able to, you know, make use of the territory they've reclaimed. Feels good. And here in the swamp, with the terrible terrain affordance, it's often incredibly necessary to do. So Trustin has almost grabbed or made all the components that we have in the queue. Getting pretty close. The other worry is that these simple meals might start to rot because they are no longer frozen due to the ambient temperature. I guess what I could do is just reduce the amount that we make. Simple meals down to like 7 or something. So that if they do rot, it's less of a stack that does. If you can get the numbers right, one of the things that you may have noticed in RimWorld is the entire stack will spoil in the same amount of time. Right, so every meal here, all 10 of them, will spoil in 2.5 days, which is just sort of the average of the items that are in there. Which is to say that if the horses like ate half these meals and then I made new ones, there will be some meals that were added to that stack that are very old, but their spoil timers just keep getting kind of average reset, which is nice. So if you produce about as much food as is consumed, you end up with this sort of stasis, this balance, this where you're not losing food from spoilage because people just eat it and then you replace it. The sort of the concept of the Perpetual Stew in the Middle Ages, where they would have a stew pot that they would add vegetables and meat stew and always sort of keep it going. Where, you know, if it was running low, you just add more stuff to it. That's sort of the idea behind stacks of food in RimWorld. Which is why it's important to have a somewhat stable population when it's coming to when you consider you want to balance the spoiling in RimWorld, so that you know with a stable population roughly how much food that you have to produce. Because if your population keeps fluctuating, you'll have to edit your food bills to fluctuate with it, and that's a lot harder and more annoying to do. So Trustin, you don't have work right now, so let's have you make more pianos. And we have some mad ibexes. Check out just 3 of them. That's not too bad. 1 and 2 and 3, I assume. Okay. Done. That was not much of a threat. And yet another piano begins. Okay. Production command. Get them making faster. Oh, and I forgot about foliage in his drafting. Trying to keep him safe from the ibexes. One of the things I guess I could start looking into is chunk skip. Our colonists are having to go ridiculously far in order to cut stone for no-lux art. So periodically using chunk skip once the chunks get used up might be kind of nice. I might speed up the rate at which we make chunks and blocks and yeah. That could yield some more art. Unfortunately, it doesn't consider the chunks that are currently being, as you saw, foliage and Tombolo's chunks were skipped. They still managed to cut them, which is super strange. It's just, you know, RimWorld being RimWorld and all. But that's something to consider, is that if someone's currently working on the chunk, like in that case, instead of chunk skipping 5 chunks that were usable, I really only skipped 3. A few of those chunks were being processed. Whereas there, those were all 5 chunks that needed to be hauled. So that's a lot more useful. Our stockpiles are getting kind of full. And adding pianos and leather dusters and the like to it, definitely helping. I'm going to say allow all, but not cloth. If you're wondering why not cloth, I guess one thing that I probably should have researched by now, again, is drug production to medicine production. We've been relying upon the Glitterworld meds that I have for the doctoring that matters, surgeries and bad sicknesses and whatnot. But I only have herbal and Glitterworld. I don't have industrial because I don't even have the research for it. And there's a lot of research I skipped this time around too. Like noble apparel for the corsets, which are worth a little bit more than dusters. I figured we didn't really need. We could just make dusters. Not as good. I haven't even gotten prosthetics into bionics because nobody has had injuries to warrant that. No weapon tech either. Just ground pen, and we're not even really using it. Oh, Trustin is idle again. So it looks like I have run out of wood from all of the pianoing. Well, I have a solution. I'll queue them up to cut a whole lot of it. Why am I not making dusters out of... I think I need to start making patch leather in bulk. Because there's not big enough stacks to make dusters out of. Patch leather dusters aren't worth as much though. So if you take a look at this patch leather duster, it's worth $3.90 at Masterwork. This cloth one is also $3.90, but if we take, there's a nice leather one. Here we go, $5.50, because the quality of the materials is higher for like blue fur. Like plain leather that's legendary is obviously worth a whole lot more. Or leather is worth a little bit more, is, you know, so on and so forth. So if I can avoid plain leathering, it's definitely in my best interest. But it looks like we cut down enough trees for Trustin to start making pianos again. He is the piano man. While all of this crafting and hunting really has raised the colony wealth considerably, it might be possible, honestly, to cover the remaining about 25k in a pretty short period of time. It sounds crazy, but I think it's entirely possible, depending on the quality of the craft and the speed of the crafting. These trees, because I don't have any gendrivores, are not worth anything to horses. Horses, of course, don't eat trees. Only alpha beavers and thrumbo do. So cutting these trees actually adds potential nutrition to the swamp, because in the place of these trees can sprout grasses, which would be better to feed the horses, of course. Our vegetables are dropping fast. I'm definitely keeping an eye on that. So we've been growing double strand in the majority of the farm, and I think I made a few too many pack of survival meals. Oh, there's Recon Armor. Now, I did mention that it might be smart to get industrial meds, so I'll research that as well. So with the Recon Armor researched, I think what I'm going to do is queue up one Locust Armor, so that whoever has the worst piece of armor of the trio can swap to back up Locust Armor. Now, the Locust Armor is going to require a whole lot of plasteel, and a little bit of uranium as well. And I don't have a renewable source of plasteel yet. I do have some nodes left on the map tile where I could just mine it. But we don't have any deep drill spots or anything like that. So I don't think I'll be able to afford a mass amount of replacement Locust Armor. And we also don't have the helmet tech to replace the Cataphract helmet. So if we take a look at the Cataphract helmets, Locust Armor here is 70%. Let's do armor first, 69, 75, 78, and 84. So the quality or the durability left, the condition of our Locust Armor, is not that bad. For helmets, 78, 78. I don't even know what that is without doing some mental math. $140. Yeah, they're all about 78%. I think worst off is shirts. That was 75, like 74 or so. But we definitely don't have the materials to make nice ones, unfortunately. A Manhunter pack of polar bears. Well, and this is not the first time I've had polar bears, there might be a chance that these polar bears won't scurry rot so quickly for us, and we'll be able to have a bunch of bear leather, which could be good for replacement clothes. Tombolo. All right, animals are going to go into the corpse barn, and then these slaves are going to go inside. I don't need to have my slaves killed in such a pointless manner. All right, Sven's Vertical Pulse is probably going to be the strongest psycast for a raid like this, or a Manhunter pack, rather. Getting them all nice and pukey so they can't run at me so quickly and effectively. I'm going to try not to jetpack so much, but instead just kite and fight, which is really effective when they're vertical pulsed. The rain's not going to help out accuracy, but Marksman Command is helping to offset the loss to accuracy, I think. All right, another pulse, maybe here. Let's not hit him accidentally. So skip. Oh, no, he'll be fine. I do have to be concerned about friendly fire from the charge rifles because that's probably, honestly, going to do more damage than a polar bear, given that polar bears don't have as much armor pen as a masterwork charge rifle. And it does look like there's a fair bit of these polar bears that didn't instant rot, which is great. Means that we'll be able to turn them into food. I am going to put everyone on like at least 4 hunt so that I can haul them in. They might instant rot, but at least the attempt will be made to haul them. And then my storage over here is relatively full of plain leather, so I'm going to have to empty that out. Oh, Trustin took off his armor. I wonder where he put it. There it is. He was switching up to the masterwork. I didn't even see that. He was even more in danger than I realized. One thing that I have not yet done is to dye the clothing of the slaves that we currently have the proper white architect colors. I still need to do that. So it looks like we have at least 2 polar bears left to haul, which is great. So Tombolo, I know you're locked inside, so let me fix this. Wolf haulers back to haul. And there we go. Tombolo's clothing set correctly. And now that he is correct, I will lift his zoning. And Shay, you'll be next. Wow, all 5. We are using the last of our rice. I'm not actually worried because of course we could start eating pack of survival meals. It's not like they're bad in any way. They're just less ideal than lavish meals, of course. So Shay, you are all set, and you're going to be set to slaves and foliage. Last but not least, let's get over and dye your clothing. All 5 again. Josmo might have gotten either hit by lightning or wandered into the fire. Either way, that's rough. And now that we have drug production tech, I will get a steel drug lab, I guess. Doesn't look like I can put it close enough to the tool cabinets for it to benefit from both. But even benefiting from one should be fine. And I don't have the ability to make the drugs that I want to make anyway. Not yet. It's oddly pretty warm out. One thing that I don't have set up in this space is like central air conditioning or air conditioners that feed to the base in general. We're probably getting, or will be getting, slept in the heat negative mood modifiers. But I'll look for that, because that might not be the case. Bunny is getting a minor break risk. It's not something that I've seen in a long time. Our architects generally stay pretty happy. Part of the problem is that the colony wealth has gone up so much that we have supreme expectations. Supreme expectations are a result of her being the prophet. So the way that roles work, and I'm sure most of you know this, but the way roles work is roles can come with higher expectations. So the Arctic Prophet raises expectations by 2 levels. The leader raised by 2 levels, but the production specialist and shooting specialist not raised. So if we take a look at like Trustin's expectations, they're sky high, which is a flat neutral 0. And then Bunny here has Supreme, which is -12. And that -12 is part of the problem. So one of the things that it can do, because she has the harmonizer, is keeping her happy is very, very, very important. So I'm going to want her eating at the table and recreating and trying to stay as happy as she can, because if she's upset, everyone else gets upset. Unfortunately, it seems like there's not much work for her to do, so she's just... She must be bored of all her recreation types or something. No, not bored of cerebral play. But still not recreating. Oh, because it just became the hour at which she was scheduled. We sleep so fast because of the quality of our beds and other implants that we don't sleep the normal amount in one day. It's kind of normal. Late game. Well, we're up to almost 340k. That lofty goal is coming fast. And the legendary dusters, especially like bearskin ones, definitely helping out. Ooh, good. Some rice harvest. We don't need a lot of rice to keep us going, because we feed most everyone from simple meals. Simple meals is what the horses eat and also the slaves. So it's only 5 of us that need lavish meals, and 3 of us have nuclear stomachs, so the amount of lavish meals is pretty low. Oh. The lightning must have... I'm just going to get rid of this, but the lightning must have taken that out, and I didn't even notice. One of the things that I hadn't done is put a home zone over it, because it was not... These moisture pumps are not part of the permanent home that I was, you know, I cared about or whatever. And I think the storm burned that bad boy to the ground. Ah, well. It's probably the same lightning strike that did Josmo in. Or Shivaroo. I forget which one got hit. So Foliage, you are idle. Oh, because I've locked you inside. Entirely my fault. So another thing I might want to start considering is, given that Trustin is idle again, making pianos is great. It's a good way to turn something that we have a lot of, like steel and wood, into something more valuable, but I am going to need to mine some steel some more, because we are quickly running out. I had 2K and we're down 600, and another piano is going to bring that number even lower. So I will queue up some zones for us to mine out. And the miners would be Shay and Tombolo. Or no, Shay and Bunny. And I'll put Bunny on it as a higher priority. I think I'm probably good in cutting trees. Yeah, I'm definitely good. I don't need more tree cuts. So right click here, cancel designations. Something like 4K wood. Should be plenty. So close, I can taste it. I could try for one more Locust Armor as well. I do have the resources for it. Sven could use a Masterwork, so if I get lucky and I get a Masterwork or Legendary, that would benefit him. It would be just one more thing to manufacture. So we'll get started in that. Oh, no, Trustin won't. Let me issue him a specific order. Another thing that I could do to raise my colony value, if I wanted to inflate it a little bit more, is to finally trigger the mining of the plasteel. Plasteel, of course, is very expensive, and getting whatever's out there will add to it. Okay, medicine production's done. I'm honestly not sure what to do next. I suppose what I could do is prosthetics. That's always nice to have. Oh, legendary Locust Armor. Yep, that would be what we were looking for. Putting us within spitting distance of the 350,000 colony value goal. So very close. And he, of course, took that for himself. Well, that's a whole lot of sharp resistance. And then we should see Sven probably wearing the other one. Unless someone else is... Oh, I guess Noluk's gonna grab it. I'm definitely running out of Tinctoria dye. We're down to just one more left. That's it. The rice harvest couldn't have come at a better time. I was down to like 47. Cougar sitting. That is a lot of tech prints. Holy cow. 6 cataphracts for 2 mech clusters. Under normal circumstances, this one obviously would be good to accept because that is a lot of tech prints worth a whole lot of money for only 2 mech clusters and 6 cataphracts that can die. Seems like a really good deal, but in all likelihood, it's not going to be required here in a second because we are about to hit our colony value target. And there it is. The Masterwork piano has put us as valuable enough to accept the last piece. So friends, even though I have a little bit of time left under normal circumstances for this episode, that is where I'm going to leave off. Thank you for tuning in to episode 77 of the Archotechs, All Good Things. If you have any feedback or questions for me, let me know in the comments below. If you would like to join my gaming community, Rhadamant.com has the link to Discord, as does the description of this video. Thank you so very much for watching. We are nearly at the end now, and I truly appreciate you sticking around for all 77 episodes so far. I'll catch you next episode. Farewell, my fellow architects.